You had handlebars.
Well, it was just looking horrible. I just left it. It came out really long over here, and it just wasn't looking good at all.
I've attempted the moustache a couple of times, but no one else likes it. I don't mind it. Quite like it.
You know what? You've got to get past it. Like, obviously, there's that joke about moustaches being for paedophiles and so on, and I had to weather the storm of that. But now I've had it for so long, people are like, "Oh, fair enough." Yeah, he's stuck with it. How have you been? I mean, it's a very weird circumstance, obviously.
Yeah.
How's that?
Yeah, no, it's all right so far. I mean, I think I've been self-isolating for nearly 2 weeks now. I started not last Tuesday, but the Tuesday before, and I've just been doing uni work and just keeping busy. Like done some gardening, been going to the gym. I mean, I'm lucky that I'm in the countryside. I can actually go for a walk. Whereas obviously, if you're in a town, it's a little bit more difficult, or in like a city. So it's not been too bad, and I'm trying not to complain about anything. But yeah, what about you? How's it been for you?
It's been the exact same, obviously minus the uni work. Like I've just said like a few times how thankful I am that I've got a garden and
Yeah,
like I'm similar to you, like around the countryside, like there's woods and all sorts of places to
yeah,
walk.
exactly.
Um, so I've been very thankful for that. I mean, I think for you, I mean you're in your final year of uni, yeah?
Yeah.
That's so like your final year is normally like stressful enough, and you've got to balance a load of different things.
Yeah.
And chuck in coronavirus,
Yeah,
that
no one
must
saw
be
that
like
coming.
such a head fuck.
Yeah, well, no, it's like kind of a blessing in disguise in a way because I mean, so basically we got the news the other day that everyone's guaranteed their average grade at least. So you can't get lower than your average grade so far.
Okay.
Yeah, and then all you can do is go up. So that's been helpful and like sort of taking the weight off everyone's shoulders. So in that way, it's a blessing in disguise, and it's all the assessments that were going to be exams are now going to be online, open book exams. You have like 24 hours to complete them. So and they'll be marking fairly well. I'm hoping marking generously and sympathetically. So yeah, I mean, yeah, just making the best out of a weird situation, I
There'll
guess.
be a few people that are like, yes.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
yeah.
But
I know I wasn't the
I mean,
best student,
people have
so I
like
think,
got firsts already.
oh really? Damn. Do
Yeah,
they have to do the assessment still or not?
yeah. They still have to do it, but I mean, yeah, you may as well give it a try, get a higher one. But I
True,
mean, yeah,
yeah.
I don't. But yeah, no, I mean, Liverpool have actually been all right. To be fair, like communicating and stuff like that, they've just kept everyone in the loop and updated us regularly. Um, but the only thing is sort of actually having to learn the content at home because obviously it's just lecture streams which aren't as effective. Um, and some lecturers have just uploaded lecture streams from last year, so it's not even them recording it; it's like other lecturers.
Uh,
So it's not sort of catered to your circumstances. But I mean, they have other. I don't know. I think it'd be pretty hard to record all the lectures right now for like every module they do. So I do sympathise for them.
have you got other friends from like different unis that have said that they found it like their unis communicated well also, or are people like, oh no, it's been a shit show?
Well, I mean, when I told people about like our face-to-face lectures and all of that engagements just being cancelled, we were quite far ahead of everyone else. Everyone sort of got that about a week later. So I think in that case, I don't know if that's just their decision-making process or them communicating, but I mean, I think Liverpool did sort of find out quite soon. And then when the rule about what was the rule that eventually made everyone go home was just about like, oh yeah, you can't really leave the house unless you're going to the shops or whatever. So you could tell from then it was going to get more serious, and then yeah, so then I was like, okay, cool, it's time to go home, which was crazy because I mean, obviously you sort of set yourself mentally for finishing in like end of May, and then suddenly you're going back in March. It is a bit crazy, especially as a final year student. I'm done with uni now, I'm back home permanently, but
Yeah,
it is what it is.
yeah, that's disappointing because like, I don't want to make you feel bad, but like I remember like finishing uni and being in Liverpool for that little bit of summer.
Yeah, yeah,
And it
yeah.
was like everyone was in good vibes and like it was like a goodbye. And that's sort of been like robbed from
Yeah,
me.
it has. The carpet has been pulled from under our feet, or the rug, whatever they say.
Mm.
But and like graduation's been cancelled. They said they're going to try and arrange a sort of substitute thing. So I mean, I think all I want now is like a substitute where I can just see the uni one last time and say goodbye, like to people. But yeah, no, it's crazy. It is, and like I mean, now I'm just going straight into work. So well,
Yeah.
hopefully, I'm trying to sort out a graduate role now. But if I don't get the ones I've applied for, then I think it'll be quite difficult to find new ones. I don't know if many companies are going to be looking for graduates at the moment.
Yeah, people will definitely be like, I don't know. There will be a boom. I think there will come a point where it all happens again, and people need because these jobs and needs for these people won't just disappear.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah,
people will definitely be like retracting their offers
yeah,
and
yeah,
like stuff
yeah,
for the foreseeable future. I think it's so hard because you don't know how long this is going on for. You know, it's like we're going to be isolated for 3 weeks. Then it's like okay, maybe a couple months.
yeah.
Then it's like, and it's a bit more and a bit more, and there's not even anyone you can shout at and be
No,
angry at
no,
and be like, because they don't know either.
no,
Literally,
no.
no one.
It's definitely. We were talking the other day, me and my friends, just about how this isn't a time for people to be angry at anyone else. Like everyone's in the same boat. It's more a time for unity. Like people, we were talking about how people using that NHS clap for political reasons to like switch it on. Like, oh well, don't clap if you voted Tory or whatever. But like when that's not really what it was about everyone sort of coming together and being a community. Which this, I think, this whole sort of pandemic will sort of at the moment it's a bit tense. Like when I'm out on a walk and if I see someone, we'll keep our distance, but no one will like sort of smile at the other person. So it's a bit tense. But I reckon when this is all over, everyone will sort of yeah, it'll be a bit more unity in the country, which would be nice, especially after Brexit and all the divide over the last couple of years.
Yeah, did you see Louis Theroux did a tweet just saying "Remember Brexit," and I found that so funny. That's
I didn't
literally
see
all he
that.
wrote because it's like, yeah, fucking hell, that like dominated our lives
Yeah,
and media
literally
for so
every
long.
day. Yeah, and
Yeah,
then just forgotten about it. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, his.
do you think people were still working on that on Brexit? Like, obviously there was so much work to be done,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
everyone's just like, ah,
I mean, it was delayed so much anyway. I'm sure it can handle another year or so.
that is so true. That is so true.
But
I
yeah,
mean, God,
I mean, how's this all affected you? Obviously, you were in Canada. How long were you there for before you had to come back?
just 1 week, mate.
That's so crazy.
Yeah, before I left, it was obviously I knew about it and it was bad in Italy, and then everyone was like cancelling everything to Italy,
Yeah,
and then I got my flight. As soon as I got there, Trump was like banned all travel to Europe apart from the UK,
yeah,
and I had the mindset of, oh, well, thank God I made it.
yeah,
Um, I'm here now,
yeah,
and then little by little, it all started to like shut down over there. And I had enough money, and I found some rooms online. But then I thought I'm just gonna be like, might not be able to get a job. Like I don't think it would have been impossible because there's still jobs that like here, like farmers and
yeah,
supermarkets and stuff.
yeah.
And because I'm a
Delivery
Canadian
drivers.
citizen, I could have like got a job quite easily in
Okay,
that
cool.
respect. But it was just the stress. Like my plan was to go out to Canada, see family, relax a bit, actually have a holiday because I've done
Then,
loads of work this past
yeah,
6 months,
yeah, yeah,
and then work it out, see what's available, see what I can get involved with. But instead, it was like you have like 1 week to
uh,
decide everything because they were closing borders and cancelling flights. And I was actually there with my mum and my brother who were supposed to be on holiday, so they were there for 2 weeks. So they got a little bit of a holiday.
yeah, 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 yeah,
But they were going home, and I had to make a decision: am I going to stay and try, or and it was just the underlying sense of anxiety.
yeah, yeah.
Like we
Just
did,
uncertainty as well.
yeah. Canada was still quite lively, like Vancouver, like big sporting events and stuff had been cancelled, which was kind of disappointing because you wanted to go to like ice hockey and stuff.
Yeah, yeah,
But generally, the city was still pretty thriving. So we had fun. We like went out to eat, saw these cool places, but there was just this underlying like, are we going to get stuck here?
Yeah,
We don't have anywhere to live, and all that sort of thing. And I just decided in the end, like, I, I don't want to spend all my money here struggling alone. Like,
yeah.
even if I got the place to live and the job, I would have been so alone.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
you're not going to go and meet people. You're not going
Mm.
to mingle with people
Yeah,
because
yeah, yeah. There's a
all stay
pandemic.
back.
Yeah.
So,
It was
uh,
sort of like that at uni as well, because like the week, so there was like a week between when I found out face-to-face engagements were cancelled and I went home. And like that week, I was sort of trying to figure out when to go home. And I went home earlier than I planned originally. Like sort of, I said I was going home on a Friday, but I went back on a Tuesday. Um, but there was like, yeah, a sense of like underlying like what's next, what's happening. And like I was just thinking, do I want to be in a student house buying my own food, going to Asda, like just being stuck on Smithdown, or do I want to be back home with my family where I know there's food, I've got my family support and a garden and like somewhere to walk and stuff like that. And so it became like just clearer that was the right thing to do, and it has definitely been. But working has been, yeah, difficult for sure.
yeah, I mean, coming back, I actually, obviously, I was gutted because my whole life had been, building up towards this thing. But
Yeah,
the relief of just being home, like,
yeah,
once I got home and felt like shit probably because of jet lag and stuff. But I was just like, oh my god, like
yeah.
at
You
least
just
that's
feel
over.
safe. It's like a safe haven home. Just yeah, just familiar and yeah, no, definitely yeah. Especially in these weird circumstances, it's good to be somewhere like that where you're just familiar.
What work are you doing? Like, are you doing work other than uni work? Like, have you got any paid stuff?
Uh, no, I'm gonna. So I've been putting blow off for just a like. I just want to get this final stretch of uni done. I've also got like some assessment centers lined up for grad roles, um, and they're going to be online now. So like this, and I have to do a maths test and like a Skype thing, like an interview. So I've been preparing for that and just doing uni work. But I've now I'm sort of getting into a routine. I've started sort of looking at documentaries and listening to interviews and stuff, like just like more creative things, and I'm hoping that's going to spur me on to then get some of my creative stuff in as well. Because it's like I tweeted today. I never tweet really, but I said people are going to reminisce on the days they were quarantined because like everything does eventually return to normal and you've got so much going on, you've got your normal schedule and you're just busy again. You're going to be thinking like, oh man, like those months or whatever when I literally had time to do whatever I wanted, obviously within reason, but like you can pick up a new skill or like do something creative or whatever, get fit, get in shape. But people will reminisce on these days. I know I will. Apart from like not being able to see friends and my girlfriend and going out to pubs and stuff like that. Um, yeah, you just have so much time to focus on yourself and improve yourself. So yeah, it's only so bad. But I mean, like I said, I'm in a very sort of privileged position where I have a garden, places to walk, and all that. Like I can only imagine, especially being like a flat in like a city, because you've got your
Mm.
flat, you're crossing people in the corridor, you can't really walk anywhere apart from like around the block or whatever. So yeah, I sympathise for those people. So I'm just not complaining about anything. It's yeah, it'll be
Yeah,
far,
no,
far.
I'm the same. I'm not complaining about anything. Like, yeah, you should definitely make use. If you have the space to do something different and the resource around you, even if it's like gardening or something you wouldn't
Yeah,
normally
yeah,
do,
yeah,
it's just something interesting, something different. I mean, I started self isolation like a beast. Like I was doing everything, I was loving it, being active, and it did hit me like a couple of days ago of like the sheer boredom and like I was done talking to my family, like the
yeah,
same like
yeah.
couple
You
people. Like I
caught
was like, yeah, I was like, I'm done with you lot. And like normally, the only thing is like I've noticed with doing dropout stuff, a lot of the time when I spend all day on my laptop, then it's nice to then go to the pub or go to a friend's house and then you don't get
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
and you're
yeah,
like, ah.
yeah,
Um, but I think everyone will get used to it. Um, it's just hard to know what to do. I mean, me and Tom are always really positive, and we treated this as like, okay, maybe I'm supposed to be in the UK, and
yeah.
maybe
That's
this is
sort
the
of how I've seen
opportunity
it
for
as
us to
well.
do something.
I mean, like for me, like obviously, so I was meant to do a placement in South Africa, and that fell
Oh
through
yeah,
because
of
my
course.
visa didn't get accepted, and now suddenly now exams are cancelled and all of this is happening, and like it does sort of all these things. Like I mean, I don't know if I believe in fate, but like I mean, you sort of have to make the most of the situation you're in, and like if South Africa did happen and then I was at uni next year, like I wouldn't have had this situation, which could help me get a better grade and just move
Mate,
on
if
in life a
South
year earlier.
Africa happened, that would have been messy for you.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
just in terms of like being out there and like, and then
yeah,
how do you start up uni again? Like we haven't even mentioned that. Like you're finishing uni. What
yeah,
about for
yeah,
the people that are starting it or
yeah,
like continuing? Like
yeah,
where
yeah.
do they start if this goes on for ages?
Exactly, because I mean, in September, I'm sure there's still going to be social distancing rules, and like, I mean, yeah, I feel sorry for the A level students as well, like applying to, because I think I read today that universities now have to be sort of stricter about the number of students they're allowing in. I think they have to cut the numbers down or something. I need to make certain of that, but I saw something about that, and also at schools, how are you going to make children social distance when there's so many pupils and you're in
Mm.
tight corridors? It's crazy. I mean, yeah, I don't think we've really sort of. There's so many different things to consider that haven't been considered yet, and like you only sort of have to encounter it when it happens at that moment in time. But yeah,
What
it's
people like at uni when, like I was saying before I went to Canada, I knew about it, but I wasn't really
yeah,
taking. I was like, I'm not going to get it, or if I do get it, I'll be a bit ill. Fuck it, I'm
yeah,
going to
yeah.
Canada. What were people like at uni? Like from when you first started to hear about it, were people still going out quite like
Yeah,
late on,
yeah,
or
yeah. Oh yeah. Like I think I went out like a week before I went home, or just before, like just under a week before, just over a week before. Um, so people were going out, and when it was first heard of, obviously people were sort of there was definitely prejudice towards the Chinese students because obviously at Liverpool, it's the same at every uni, but at Liverpool in particular, there's a big Chinese community because we have a partner university in China. So people, you could definitely tell people sort of in lectures, I'd like sort of walk in, sit down amongst like just whoever was there, and then I'd realize everyone else was sort of sitting away from Chinese students, and like yeah, there was definitely sort of tension and sort of prejudice there, but kind of understandably in a way. But I don't know how to describe it because it's a
no, I know
thin
what you
line.
mean. It's a
Because I thought,
natural,
yeah, because I
natural
mean,
sort of reaction.
obviously, um, everyone was sort of thinking they went back for Chinese New Year and now they've come home, and we've only heard of this coming from China, so everyone was sort of cautious of the Chinese students, and I was, yeah, but then. And I saw something on Twitter where there was an Asian lady on a train with a suitcase in Paris, and like everyone around her was like covering their mouths and stuff, which is yeah disgusting. But there was like tension and people talking about like oh like we're not going to get it, but then yeah, it's when the numbers started rising. That was the crazy part. And like when the first case happened in Liverpool, and then there was a rumor that a girl on Smithdown went to a house party, got with a boy or something, and like then gone into uni. So then it started getting a bit crazy then, and everyone sort of stopped going to the library, stopped going to lectures, and then yeah, well, people still went out. Like St. Paddy's Day is a big thing in Liverpool,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I saw a girl post on Smithdown Ticket Exchange, which is like the Facebook page for Liverpool students to communicate on and swap tickets and everything, saying like, "Oh, why is no one at Concert Square?" Which is like the main place to go on Paddy's Day. Like, don't be boring, like all of this. But then a lot of people did go out for St. Patrick's Day, and I was just thinking, like, yeah, at that point, that's when I was like, I'm not going out. I think I'd been out for a meal like 3 or 4 days before that, and I was like, I don't know if I should have even gone out for that meal. Like, I don't know if that was stupid. And so, yeah, people realised later on, but I think it's like finally starting to get through to people like this is serious, and it's not about how it affects you. It's definitely just about how it affects other people. That's the main
Mm.
thing.
Paddy's Day was the first day in Vancouver when it was actually completely dead because the city ordered all the restaurants and bars and pubs to close because they
Yeah,
knew that would be a place where everyone celebrates. And it was just so sad to see that they still had all their decorations up and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah, yeah,
And it was like, oh, and obviously that would have been big revenue for a lot of these
yeah.
places.
That's it.
So
Yeah,
that was disappointing to see. But like, what can you do? I mean, and going back to your point about Chinese students, I was going to say, like, oh, I don't know why people would be avoiding them because they haven't been home. But if you make the point that they've been home for Chinese New
Yeah,
Year
that's
and
the
they
thing.
come back, I do get like, obviously, you're like, we should never, hold any prejudice against people because of where they're from.
Yeah,
But if you're told, oh, these people have literally been to the place where coronavirus was. I mean,
yeah,
it would be
yeah,
the same if there was some big celebration in like New Zealand and loads of like
yeah, yeah, yeah,
New
yeah, yeah,
Zealanders. Obviously, the stuff if you see like stuff on social media of people on the train and stuff, and I'm sure Chinese people have faced horrible,
yeah, yeah,
racist comments and stuff. But naturally, if you know these people have gone home to a place where it's coronavirus is really bad, and you in close proximity with them, you will be a bit like, oh shit,
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
don't know if I want to sit. And I don't know. And then if you got it, you'd be like, idiot,
yeah,
why
yeah,
did
yeah,
I
yeah.
sit next to that person? Like, it's just such a like horrible situation. Like, what can
Yeah.
you do? I mean, what I mean, you probably don't know, but like, I'm thinking, what about loads of those Chinese people? Like, has everyone gone home off campus?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah. Everyone's like Chinese students. Yeah, they went home like sort of. I think they were sort of the first people to go home. Like, I remember my lecturer sending out an email saying like, if you're considering going home, like just do it. Don't worry about exams and stuff like that. That will all get sorted. Just go home and be with your family. So I think Chinese students did go home. But then there's the whole problem with some lecturers use Facebook a lot, and that's banned in China, so they can't really get all the information they need. Time difference, all of that. Like it's all just a big mess really. But yeah, yeah, they were the sort of first to go home.
have you met anyone that was adamant they're not going home? Is anyone in their student houses still?
Yeah, yeah. Some of my housemates are still in the student house, but I think that's because they've like had symptoms and they don't want to give it to their parents or like family or anything. So yeah, that makes sense. But I had like I just started feeling really rough in the last week, and I don't know if it's me mentally, just like sort of thinking like, oh God, like I'm gonna get it or I've got it. So and yeah, so I was like, I'm just gonna go home before they have any ban or whatever. And yeah, thank God I did. But yeah, just being in a student house, I sort of felt like this isn't as hygienic as like back home. Like my parents
Mm.
love keeping things spotless, and I was thinking that'd be nice to be in just a clean environment. So
In a student house, there's a lot of grey areas, like whose job is it to clean that, or
yeah,
like
yeah,
who
yeah,
does that, or like whose turn is it? Then
yeah,
no one can be asked, and if everyone gets ill, then it will just all go out the window, and
yeah,
everyone will be. Yeah, I definitely wouldn't want it to stay, but I get people's points
yeah.
that
Especially because it's the last year and people are like I want to make the most of their house. I mean, at the moment, I'm still paying rent, which is irritating because that's my loan money, which I could just have for myself. But yeah, so at the moment I'm paying rent, and yeah, I think a majority of people are. I think uni accommodations are actually on campus, are allowing people to not pay rent, which is nice. And I think they're using the
that's nice.
accommodation nearer the hospital for NHS workers, which is nice. But yeah, no, I'm trying to think of other aspects of it all.
How are are students, have they taken a financial hit? I know you've just mentioned about the loan and stuff, um, but other than the loan, I mean, that's not affecting you in terms of you're quite fortunate you're back with your family
Yeah,
now. Like,
yeah,
it's just a bit annoying. Like, have you
yeah,
heard
yeah.
about any people that have genuinely been like messed up financially by this, like student wise?
Uh, I don't know if I have. I mean, we haven't heard whether we're getting our loans or not. Like people were saying, like, oh, what's the company that does the loans? SE?
It's just called student
Oh,
loan company or
SEP. Yeah, yeah.
something.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently, yeah, people are like, oh, they're being a bit quiet. But I mean, yeah, for me, it's not the end of the world. Obviously, it's a bit of a nuisance not to get it, but it's not the end of the world if they like just cancel that last installment or something, and like you don't have to pay it or whatever. But I mean, yeah, I don't know if anyone's been affected financially. I think a lot of people just, yeah, they had their loans to buy food and drink, but they're back home now. But if you're in a circumstance like one of my friends lives, it's just him and his mum, and like, I mean, it might be useful for him to contribute that to food and stuff, especially
Mm.
if, especially if someone's parents like are struggling for work, if they like freelance or they're whatever, if they just get laid off, like that might be useful for them. But Yeah, I haven't heard of loads of people being financially affected because I think they just used it to go out and buy food and stuff, and you're not going to be doing any of that when you're back home.
Yeah, yeah, that's fair enough.
Yeah,
Do you have any? I was gonna say it's hard for you to give like advice or tips or stuff from your own circumstance for all other students
yeah,
because
yeah,
it's gonna vary from uni to uni and person to person.
yeah.
What do you think? Are there any things that you think in your circumstance your uni has done really well and that other people can take on board, and in the same way that things have been done badly?
Yeah, I think they've just communicated and kept everyone on board. Like, there'd be times when people started like kicking up a fuss, like, oh, like when are we going to find this out? And then when the uni sort of were aware of that, they'd communicate, and they have been really good at communicating. And I just got an email today saying that every piece of coursework has been extended by at least 5 days, and then also there's a 3 day period after the deadline where you won't be penalized if you hand it in late for 3 working days. So just things like that, and like they are making it easier, but at the same time, at first, just all the lecturers started dumping all this material on you and like just sending you so many emails, and it's hard to sort of get your head around it and try and work out like in normal circumstances at this moment what lecturers would have done at this point, sort of thing. So
Mm.
that's the thing I'm struggling with, like actually getting lectures done. I've just been focusing on coursework and like my graduate role stuff at the moment, but once that's over, then I'm going to try and get on top of lectures and seminars and stuff like that. But yeah, it's weird, it's like trying to make your own schedule, like timetable. But they have mostly been good, and I'm hoping that these circumstances just people getting better marks than they were previously going to get. I reckon that would be the case.
Yeah, that's a good thing. I think all round. That's
Yeah.
a small consolation I think for people. Before we round this off, are there any like books, films, like stuff on the internet, anything that you think people should look at?
Yeah. Well, my brother, he was just telling me you need to listen to this podcast, watch these videos, and so I've done that. And like I had been slacking off, like I was saying, like I've found time now to sort of watch documentaries or listen to podcasts. Now I'm back home and I just have all this time to myself. So one thing, let me find the name of it, is a podcast called it's called Talk Art, and they did an interview with Alistair McLellan. You know him, the photographer. He does.
Uh,
You'll know his work. He does a lot of work. He did like Palace. Do you know Blondie McCoy, the Palace
yeah,
skater?
yeah.
He did a whole book on like photos of Blondie from when he was like 15 to like 22 or whatever. But he's got loads of projects. You'd recognize his work. But he's a really interesting guy. And then I listened to an interview of Kaws, Kaws. He's a street
Mm,
artist. You'd recognize
yeah,
his work, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And that was really interesting. And then there's also a YouTube channel that Charlie told me to watch called Nowness, like now and then Ness, and it's all directed by this lady called Emily Oberg. She worked at Complex and then she did this thing called Sporty and Rich, and it's all sort of about just housing and interior and stuff like that. And it's only like 4 minute videos just of really nice houses and like other topics. But yeah, I'm trying to think what else I've watched. I think that's it so far. I mean, I need to watch more movies. I'm going to try and watch more movies and
No,
documentaries.
you'll
Just
you'll
educate
get through
myself.
them. I think.
Yeah, yeah. I think I've got time.
All right,
Yeah,
banging. Thank you
yeah.
very much, Harry. I
No
appreciate that.
worries.
I'm
No
sure
worries.
I'm going to reach out to some like lecturers and maybe other students from other places.
Yeah, yeah,
Because the aim of this whole project was just to get people from different backgrounds and industries and like professions to talk about their circumstance. Because I
yeah,
think there can be a lot gained from just hearing someone from a similar
yeah,
circumstance,
yeah.
or even maybe a different one that you can learn from, and it just
Mm,
give people a bit more comfort.
yeah,
And I think it's just nice for us as well to reach out to each other.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, no.
So yeah, we'll get this online and we will hopefully spread some joy to some students out there and
Let's hope
beyond.
so. No,
All right.
I'm glad I could participate.
Thank you very much,
Thank
mate.
you very much. Nice to talk to you.